Great fun, and a reminder that unpopular political leaders mock the resistance in other galaxies. 2. Star Wars, The Last Jedi boasts a bald-faced lie of a subtitle. Sorry, folks, Last Jedi, no more Star Wars movies. And special guest appearances from some old, familiar faces. The oldest of them utters a very funny line about the sacred Jedi religious texts being the opposite of page-turners. It's a lot of movie, in a good way. Writer-director Rian Johnson, in his fourth feature and the first of what will be, for him, at least 4 Star Wars outings, has whipped up 152 minutes worth of pursuit, evasion, mayhem, team-building, explosions, nostalgia and, yes, wit, spoiler alert, actual wit. This is the longest movie in the franchise. It just doesn't feel that way. I haven't been this into a Star Wars picture since The Empire Struck Back in The Empire Strikes Back. Now, I say this as a critic, and as a civilian, who holds little affection for George Lucas' second trilogy, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, or for Return of the Jedi, for that matter. Here's why the new one works. You can tell there's a clever, admiring but not slavish filmmaker at the helm, as you could with Irvin Kershner and Empire back in 1980, and it's clear he enjoyed a fair amount of leeway, tonally and otherwise. Building on what he learned on his Raymond Chandler riff Brick, 2005, the artly stylized caper The Brothers Bloom, 2008, and, heretofore, his sole mainstream hit, the deftly managed time travel thriller Looper, 2012, Johnson's first visit to Lucasland darts and zigzags with an unusual lightness of touch for an effects-heavy franchise title. It's swift but not monomaniacal in its pacing. Characters, both old and new, of various earthly and intergalactic ethnicities, spoiler alert, white supremacists will not like The Last Jedi, all enjoy a little elbow room, and their fair share of the action. Speaking of which, Johnson's best action sequence is his smallest and simplest, a lightsaber standoff late in the film. The crowd loved it, and I was in that crowd. The Last Jedi plays by the rules laid out in director J.J. Abrams' 2015 reboot The Force Awakens. Much as Harrison Ford served as mythic grounding in The Force Awakens, Mark Hamill takes top billing here as Luke Skywalker. We last saw Luke in his hobbity hoodie, a disillusioned recluse on an island on the most unfindable place in the galaxy, as he says to Jedi in The Making Rey, played once again by the invaluable Daisy Ridley. Several questions are asked and either answered or artfully evaded by The Last Jedi. Rey's family history, the extent and secret source of Luke's profound disillusionment, these and other puzzlers are nicely spaced out by Johnson, in between aerial dogfights and visits to the next planet on the movie's itinerary. At one point Finn, John Boyega, and his fellow Resistance fighter Rose, Kelly Marie Tran, a highlight of the new character roster, search for a master codebreaker on a planet resembling a mashup of Catalina Island, Monte Carlo and the Cantina from the very first Star Wars, with Tony or clientele. The digital effects, the production and costume designs, the creature designs and everything else spinning around in this big-budget blender all combine to satisfy the audience's collective throw it at me impulse, as well as its sentimental, oh, lost youth, one.